Okay, welcome back. Let's rig our chicken. To do that, let's add a couple of reference images. This is the skeletal structure of a chicken, and I think if we just scale this down on the Z-axis, we can make it the skeletal structure of a baby chick. All right, let's change the name of our empty. Perfect. Change that to reference image, and let's move that back on the Y-axis. In numpad 1. Okay, and then let's just scale this down on the Z to get this about the size of our baby chicken. So now let's bring our chicken in and line this. And that looks okay. I'm all right with that as an outline, just as a reference. Okay, now let's add a bone. So Shift A, armature, single bone. And then we come down here in the object data properties, viewport display, and make sure that the bone is selected in front. I like to have the names on as well, just so I can see the names, but you're going to want to see the bone in front of your model so that it doesn't get lost inside your model. Now I'm going to have a front view on the left side and a side view on the right side, just so I can see how the armature looks from two different angles. Okay, let's grab this up on the Z, and I'm just going to start to build out that spine, just the direction of the spine real quick. I'm not going to use every vertebrae. You can if you want to. I'm just going to do a simple rig to rig this baby chicken. Just do some chicken rigging, and then we'll build a simple walk cycle. I'm going to bring the neck up over here. Okay, and then with Shift D, we're going to duplicate that head and scale it down to make the bottom jaw, the bottom portion of the jaw. Now we're going to split this. You can either hit Y or right-click split. We're going to separate it from the chain of the armature, and then we're going to shift-click on the top of the head, parent that with Control P, keep the offset, and then kick into pose mode, and make sure that by moving the top of the head, rotating that the bottom jaw comes with. So now if we move the head, if we swivel the head, the bottom of the jaw is going to come with it. All right, let's extend out the tailbone. The coccyx, plural of coccyx is coccyges. And now let's extend this hip. There we go. And let's change the name. Let's make this hip.left or .l, which we've talked about. Why? When we symmetrize these later on, everywhere we put .left or .l as a suffix, Blender will automatically symmetrize that on the right side. And then I'm just going to extend a couple of bones for finger bones or toe bones, claw bones, some talon, get some talon bones going. And then you can just Shift D, bring them over on the X, and then just align those. You know, I feel like we've done enough. Even if you've made it here just 5 minutes in, and you know how to duplicate and move the armature around, you can kind of match up this armature onto your model. Okay. I'm going to bring out the collarbone, essentially, to make the shoulder girdle and the wing. Okay. And then I'm going to hit numpad 7 to kick over in the top view, and I'm just going to align this wing just to make sure that the wing's where it needs to be. Okay. And very important, dot left over here or dot capital L. Either one, dealer's choice. And now, I could tell you what to do right now, but I think it'd be more effective if it were expressed through the majesty of song. So without any further ado, here's a quick interlude from my a cappella group, Treble in Paradise.
Save your work, save your work, so just save your work, go on and save your work, save your work. Save your work, so just save your work, go on and save your work.
All right, let's jump back in. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to make our metatarsus, our shin bone, we're going to make this a control. This bone is going to control other bones in our chain. But first, I'm going to take all of my toesies and then shift-click the shin bone, Control P to parent, keep the offset, okay? So let's take this shin bone over here. We're going to split it. Okay. I'm going to call this control. I'm going to make my shin bone the control bone. Okay. Now in pose mode, collect that leg bone and we're going to add inverse kinematics, okay? So make the target our armature, make the bone our control bone that we just made. And then you want to make the chain length. And the chain length is just the degree of influence that our IK has. Then in pose mode, if you move the shin, you can see the whole leg should kind of move as if it's taken a step. Okay, that's what inverse kinematics does. Inverse kinematics takes care of the motion of other bones along a chain. You know, if you just go to raise your hand goes up, but your elbow actually goes out. And if you were going to rig that manually, it'd be a pain in the patoot. Something called inverse kinematics does that for us automagically. Okay. And again, you should not, this is not best practice to make an actual bone in your rig a control bone. Okay. You don't want to do that. You want your control bone to be a standalone bone. But in the early going, separate controls and separate poles, they just create a lot of visual clutter. And it can be confusing to the beginner. So it's something you will have to learn eventually, and you should, but not right now. So you know what? Now let's kick back into edit mode and let's do the same thing for our tail. Okay, let's get some inverse kinematics going on the tail. So I'm going to rename my tailbone tail.control, and then I'm going to call that second bone tailbone.ik. Kick over into pose mode, and with the IK bone selected, let's do the same thing. Let's add an inverse kinematics constraint. We're going to make our same thing as last time. Our target is going to be our armature. The bone should be the control tailbone we just made. So go scroll down and find that tail.control. Then the chain length is how much influence along this chain do we want these inverse kinematics to have. Okay. And then if we select that bone in pose mode and we move it, there we go. Now we got some inverse kinematics happening with our tail. Okay. And now I want to do the same thing with our spine. So let's connect the base tail and base leg and parent that to the spine with Control P, keep the offset, and then select that spine and go into pose mode. If we move it up, you should see our legs come with it a bit. You know, we can just move our spine on our rig and our legs are going to extend up and they're going to come back down a little bit. Okay. And that's pretty much it. With that, we've created enough to where we should be able to, in theory, get this chick walking, jumping, maybe flying a little bit. Okay. And if you move the spine and your other bones are staying put, you got to parent those other bones to the spine so it all moves with the spine. Okay. With our whole armature selected, let's right click and symmetrize. And then you can see there's names for everything at the feet because every toe bone was named. There's just so much clutter down here. I got to hide the names. I like seeing the names, but if it gets too busy, you can get rid of those, and that's okay. And now let's attach our model to our rig. So with our model selected, shift click on our rig and hit Control P to parent, select with automatic weights. Okay. Now if we go into pose mode, and we lift the leg up, our chicken should come with, and there we go. And now we can make a little tap dancing chicken if we wanted to. Okay? Just like that. Nice and easy, lemon squeezy. Now again, as you advance, you are going to need to make your poles and your controls should be their own bones. Those should be their own thing. Because if something happens on our shin bone and it goes away, then we've also axed out the control bone. Okay. By having two separate things be anchored onto one bone, we've essentially made that destructive. If we destroy one, we destroy both. And we don't want that. But in the early going, you know, when poles and controls shoot off the armature, it's just too much for beginners. You know, it's like Feynman. When Feynman taught physics, he said, when you teach physics, in the beginning, we teach you things that we know are wrong because it helps you understand the concepts that are more challenging later on. So as the teacher, you got to decide, is it better to teach something that is wrong but easier to understand? Or do you teach something that is, you know, wild and very hard to stand but technically correct first? So it's, I don't know, academic choice. In any event, I hope you found value in this. I hope you found it useful. In the next one, we're going to animate this son of a gun, and we'll get this, we'll make a little tap dancing chicken. Okay, all right. Get up, get a bang, get a stretch, and we'll see you in the next one.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.